The alarm screamed through the orbital station. Admiral Tae-sung ran to the observation deck, his heart pounding. 3 months ago, the diplomatic ship Dawn's Promise had left Earth carrying humanity's best hope for peace. Now it was back, and something was terribly wrong. The ship looked like it had been through hell. Hull plates were missing. Scorch marks covered every surface. One entire section was just gone, replaced by twisted metal. Tae-sung pressed his hand against the glass and watched the wreck limp toward the docking bay. "Get medical teams ready," he said into his comm. "I don't think anyone survived this." He was wrong. One person survived. They just wished they hadn't. The docking bay doors sealed shut. Tae-sung suited up and entered with the rescue team. The smell hit him first, even through the suit's filters. Blood and burned metal and something else, something alien and wrong. They found the bodies in the cargo bay. 12 security officers, all dead. They weren't just killed. They were arranged like pieces of art, positioned to send a message. Tae-sung had fought in 3 wars, but this made his stomach turn. "Sir, we found someone alive," a medic called out. Ambassador Jin-woo was in the medical bay, strapped to a table. At first, Tae-sung didn't recognize him. The man's body was covered in strange devices, pulsing with alien technology. His legs were gone below the knee. His arms were twisted at wrong angles. But his eyes were open, and he was breathing. "Get him out of here," Tae-sung ordered. "Get him to the hospital now." "Sir, we can't remove the devices." "They're keeping him alive. Then take him with the devices." "Move." 6 hours later, Tae-sung stood outside Jin-woo's hospital room. President Soo-bin arrived with Director Hai-jin from the diplomatic corps. They looked through the window at the broken man inside. "The Vrin did this?" Soo-bin asked. "According to the ship's logs, yes," Tae-sung replied. "They took him apart slowly. Those devices kept him conscious through all of it. They wanted him to deliver a message." Dr. Young-suk came out of the room, her face pale. "He's stable, but barely. The alien technology is advanced, very advanced. It's designed to cause maximum pain while preventing death. Can you remove it?" Hai-jin asked. "Eventually, maybe. But right now, it's all that's keeping his organs functioning." "I need to talk to him," Soo-bin said. "He's heavily sedated, but conscious." 5 minutes, no more. They entered the room. Jin-woo's eyes tracked them as they approached. A breathing tube prevented speech, but he gestured weakly at a tablet. Young-suk held it up while he typed with one trembling finger. The message appeared letter by letter. They laughed, called us soft flesh vermin, not worthy of diplomacy, only worthy of suffering. Soo-bin's jaw tightened. "What else?" Jin-woo typed again. "They're coming. To all our colonies. To Earth. They said we can beg or we can die, but we cannot have peace. When?" Tae-sung asked. 6 months. Maybe less. They want us afraid. Hai-jin stepped forward. "Ambassador, we can try again." Another envoy, better prepared. Jin-woo's hand shot out with surprising strength, grabbing her wrist. He pulled her close and typed with his other hand. "No more envoys. No more peace. They don't understand peace. Only strength." The president looked at Tae-sung. "Assemble the council. Emergency session." 1 hour. The Council of Earth met in the secure chamber beneath Geneva. 50 representatives from every nation and colony sat in the circular room. President Soo-bin stood at the center. "You've all seen the reports?" she began. "Ambassador Jin-woo was returned to us as a warning. The Vrin Collective has rejected our offer of peace. They view humanity as insects to be crushed." General Dong-hyun stood up. He was old, scarred, and he'd been fighting since before half the council was born. Then we crush them first. We have 6 months. We use it. Director Hyjin shook her head. General, we barely know anything about these aliens. One violent response to another violent action won't solve anything. They sent us our ambassador in pieces. Dong Hyen shouted. What would you have us do? Send them flowers? I would have us be smart, Hyjin replied coldly. Rushing into war against an unknown enemy is suicide. Doing nothing is also suicide, Tae-sung said. They told us they're coming. We have to believe them. Su-bin raised her hand for silence. Both sides have valid points. We need information before we can make any decision. We need to know what we're facing. A younger officer stood up. Captain Ji-hoon was special operations, the kind of soldier who went places others couldn't. Give me a team. I can get you information. A spy mission into their territory? Hyjin said. If they catch you, they won't, Ji-hoon interrupted. And if they do, I'll make sure there's nothing to send back. No more messages written in blood. Su-bin nodded slowly. You'll have your team, Captain. But this is strictly reconnaissance. No engagement unless absolutely necessary. Yes, ma'am. The rest of you, Su-bin continued, will begin preparations. I'm authorizing protocol, Serpent. The room went silent. Everyone knew what that meant. Protocol Serpent was the classified plan for total war mobilization, disguised as normal activity. Shipyards would build warships labeled as cargo vessels. Military training would be called disaster preparedness. Weapons factories would claim to make mining equipment. If we do this, Hyjin said quietly, there's no going back. We become what we're fighting against. No, Su-bin replied. We become what we need to be to survive. There's a difference. That night, Tae-sung visited Jinwoo again. The ambassador was asleep, or as close to sleep as the alien devices allowed. Young-suk was there, studying scans of the technology. Can you learn anything from these? Tae-sung asked. Maybe, she said. The devices are connected to his nervous system. They're recording everything, every sensation, every thought. It's a torture device, but also a data collector. What kind of species creates something like that? A species that views others as objects to study and break. The Vryn didn't just want to hurt him. They wanted to understand what hurts us most. Tae-sung looked at the broken man on the bed. Then we'll study them right back. And we'll understand what hurts them most. Young-suk met his eyes. Are we really going to do this? Go to war with an alien civilization? They already started the war, Doctor. They started it the moment they sent our people back in pieces. We're just deciding whether to fight back or wait to die. Jinwoo stirred, his eyes opening. He looked at them both and managed a painful smile. Then he typed on his tablet one more time. Make them regret it. Make them regret every second. Tae-sung put his hand on the ambassador's shoulder. We will. I promise you that. Across Earth and all her colonies, the gears began to turn. Factories that made farming equipment retooled for weapons. Shipyards expanded. Military reserves were quietly called up under the guise of training exercises. And in the deep black of space, Captain Ji-hoon's stealth ship slipped away from Earth, heading toward Vryn territory. Humanity had sought peace. The offer was rejected with cruelty and contempt. Now humanity would show the Vryn what happened when you mistake mercy for weakness. The galaxy was about to learn what humans could do when pushed too far. The war hadn't begun yet, but the first move had been made. And this time, humanity wouldn't be the one returning in shreds. Captain Ji-hoon's ship was called Silent Shadow, and it lived up to the name. It was small, fast, and nearly invisible to sensors. For 2 weeks, it traveled through empty space toward Vryn territory. Ji-hoon sat in the pilot's seat next to Yoon-ji, who had the steady hands of someone born to fly. Behind them, engineer Kyung-soo nervously monitored every system. Heat signature is still too high, Kyung-soo said. If we get within scanning range, they'll see us. Then we won't get within scanning range, Yoon-ji replied calmly. I'll keep us in the asteroid field. Asteroids are unpredictable, Kyung-soo protested. Eung smiled. So am I. Ji-hoon studied the star charts. Intelligence suggested the Vrin had a colony world near here, but they needed to see it with their own eyes. There, he pointed. That system. 3 planets, the middle one shows signs of atmosphere. Also shows signs of heavy ship traffic, Yoon-ji noted. We'll need to be careful. They approached slowly, hiding among the rocks and debris that orbited the system. What they saw made Ji-hoon's blood run cold. The middle planet was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents. But in orbit, massive Vrin ships hung like predators. And on the surface, cities burned. Recording everything, Kyung-soo said, his voice shaking. There are people down there. Not Vrin, something else. The Helix were a peaceful species. They had large eyes, 4 arms, and skin that changed color with their emotions. Right now, their skin was the gray of fear and despair. The Vrin soldiers herded them into pens like animals. Some Helix tried to run. The Vrin caught them and made examples of them, doing things that made even Ji-hoon look away. They're not conquering, Yoon-ji whispered. They're terrorizing. This is how they operate, Ji-hoon said grimly. They don't just defeat their enemies. They break them completely first. They watched for 3 days, recording everything. The Vrin didn't use advanced tactics. They used fear and overwhelming force. Their ships were powerful, but flew in predictable patterns. Their soldiers were strong, but followed rigid procedures. They had never needed to be clever, because everyone they faced surrendered or died quickly. They're bullies, Kyung-soo said. Big, powerful bullies who've never met anyone who could punch back. Good, Ji-hoon replied. That's exactly what we needed to know. Back on Earth, Dr. Young-suk made a breakthrough. She had been studying the devices attached to Jin-woo for weeks, trying to understand how they worked. The answer horrified her. The Vrin don't see other species as alive in any meaningful way, she explained to a room full of scientists and military officers. Their biology, their brain chemistry, it's all designed around dominance. They literally cannot recognize another being as an equal unless that being defeats them in combat. So talking to them is useless? Admiral Tae-sung asked. Worse than useless? To them, beings who talk instead of fight are automatically inferior. It's not culture or choice. It's biology. They're programmed this way. Oram, another scientist on her team, added, We've managed to access the data stored in the torture devices. The Vrin have a whole database of species they've encountered. 17 civilizations completely destroyed. All of them tried to negotiate first. Did any resist? General Dong-hyun asked. A few. They lasted longer, but still fell. The Vrin have been doing this for thousands of years. Young-suk pulled up a holographic display. But here's what's interesting. The species that fought back, the Vrin respected them, even as they destroyed them. They built monuments to the fallen warriors. They still tell stories about the Krell, who fought for 300 years before finally losing. 300 years? Tae-sung said. And they still lost? The Krell were tough, but not innovative. They had strong warriors, but weak strategy. The Vrin eventually overwhelmed them through sheer numbers. Then we need to be smarter, Dong-hyun said. Tougher and smarter. While the scientists worked on understanding the Vrin, analyst Mina worked on understanding their pattern. She was young, brilliant, and obsessed with details others missed. She locked herself in her office for days, studying every scrap of information about the 17 dead civilizations. "I found it," she announced at the next council meeting. "I found the pattern." She brought up charts and graphs. The Vryn always follow the same process. First, they send scouts. Then they demand submission. When refused, they attack the capital world to make an example. Other worlds see this and usually surrender without fighting. Usually? Su Bin asked. 3 species fought back after their capitals fell. The Vryn crushed them within a year because they were desperate and disorganized. But here's the key point. The Vryn expect fear. They expect surrender. They have never, in all their history, faced a prepared enemy. "We have 6 months before they arrive," Mina continued. "They expect us to spend that time afraid, divided, arguing about what to do. That's what everyone else did. So we do the opposite," Tae-sung said. "We prepare. We unite. And we don't let them know we're doing either." President Su Bin authorized the full implementation of Protocol Serpent. To the outside observer, Earth looked panicked but disorganized. News reports showed politicians arguing. Protests filled the streets demanding peace or surrender. It all looked like chaos. But beneath the surface, humanity moved with purpose. Every shipyard in the solar system worked triple shifts. Mining colonies sent resources at unprecedented rates. Military academies graduated classes early. Millions of civilians trained for war in facilities disguised as community centers. And in a secure facility deep underground. Jin Woo underwent surgery. But Ram had developed a way to remove the Vryn devices while keeping him alive. But it required new technology. Cybernetic enhancements that would replace what the aliens had destroyed. "You don't have to do this," Young-suk told him. "We can keep you stable with what we have now." Jin Woo typed his response. "I'm not staying stable. I'm getting strong. When the Vryn come, I want to see their faces when they realize their message failed." The surgery took 16 hours. When Jin Woo woke up, he had new legs made of metal and carbon fiber. His arms were rebuilt with synthetic muscles. His damaged organs were replaced or enhanced. He looked at himself in the mirror and barely recognized the person staring back. "How do you feel?" Ba-Aram asked. Chin-Woo stood up, testing his new body. The pain was gone, replaced by strength he'd never had before. "I feel ready." Captain Ji-hoon returned from Vryn space with encrypted data chips containing hundreds of hours of footage. The council watched in silence as he presented his findings. "They're powerful," he said, "but predictable. They rely on intimidation and overwhelming force. Their ships are well armed, but poorly coordinated. Their soldiers are individually strong, but follow rigid command structures. If you cut off the head, the body doesn't know what to do." "Sounds like they need a lesson," Dong Hyeon said. "They need more than a lesson," Ji-hoon replied. "They need to understand that humanity isn't another victim. We're something they've never encountered before." Yoon-ji, who had come with him, added, "We also found allies. The Helix are suffering under Vryn occupation. If we free them, they might join us. Can they fight?" Tae-sung asked. "They can, but they've been beaten down for so long they don't believe they can win. They need someone to show them victory is possible." Su Bin looked around the room at all the faces, human, and soon perhaps others. "Then that's what we'll do. We'll show the Vryn that humanity can fight. We'll show the Helix that the Vryn can lose. And we'll show the galaxy that bullies eventually meet someone bigger." 5 months had passed since Jin Woo's return. Humanity had 1 month left before the Vryn arrived. But they weren't waiting anymore. Admiral Tae-sung assembled the fleet in secret, far from Earth, hidden in the asteroid belt where sensors couldn't detect them. 30 warships, built and armed in secret. 50 support vessels. 20,000 soldiers. It wasn't enough to conquer the Vryn Empire, but it was enough to make a statement. General Dong Hyan addressed the troops. In 1 month, the Vryn will come to Earth expecting to find frightened people begging for mercy. They won't find that. They'll find empty colonies rigged with traps. They'll find defense platforms bristling with weapons. They'll find humans who are ready to fight. But before they arrive, he continued, we're going to hit them first. We're going to hit them where it hurts, and we're going to show them that humanity doesn't wait to be attacked. We strike first. The plan was bold, maybe crazy. While the Vryn fleet traveled to Earth, humanity would attack one of their colony worlds. Not to conquer it, but to free it. To show the enslaved Helix that resistance was possible. To prove to the Vryn that Earth wouldn't go down easy. Ji-hoon would lead the ground forces. Yoon-ji would command the fighter squadrons. Kung-soo had designed new weapons, specifically for Vryn ships. Dr. Young-suk had developed countermeasures to their biological weapons. Every piece was in place. Ambassador Jin-woo, now recovered and enhanced, stood before the council one last time before the fleet departed. He spoke with his new voice synthesizer, his words clear and strong. The Vryn sent me back to break our spirit. They failed. They thought showing us their cruelty would make us submit. They were wrong. Every wound they gave me, every moment of pain, it only made humanity stronger. It showed us what we're fighting against, and it showed us that we'll never surrender. President Subin nodded. Then let's show them what happens when they underestimate humanity. Admiral Tae-sung, your fleet is authorized to depart. Bring our people home safe, and send the Vryn a message they'll actually understand. The fleet moved out, disappearing into the darkness between stars. On Earth, the final preparations continued, and in his hospital room, Jin-woo watched them go, his mechanical hand clenched into a fist. The Vryn wanted war. Humanity would give them one they'd never forget. Commander Yoon-ah stood on the walls of Tizan Colony and watched the sky. The colony was small, only 15,000 people, built on a moon rich with minerals. It was also the perfect bait. Are you sure about this? Her deputy asked. We could evacuate. Get everyone to safety. Yoon-ah shook her head. General Dong Hyan needs the Vryn to think we're easy prey. If they arrive at an empty colony, they'll know something is wrong. No, we stay and make them believe we're helpless civilians. We're not exactly helpless, the deputy said, gesturing to the mining equipment that had been secretly modified into weapons. No, we're not. But they don't know that yet. The Vryn fleet arrived exactly on schedule. 6 massive ships, bristling with weapons, designed to intimidate as much as to destroy. They hung in orbit above Tizen like predators circling prey. Hi, message crackled through every speaker in the colony. Humans of Tizen, you will submit to the Vryn Collective. You will gather in the central square. Any resistance will result in suffering beyond your comprehension. You have 1 hour. Yoon-ah activated her hidden comm system. All units, this is Commander Yoon-ah. The trap is set. Prepare for Phase 1. The colonists gathered in the square as ordered, looking frightened and defeated. They weren't acting. Most were genuinely terrified. But hidden among them were 500 of General Dong Hyan's best soldiers, disguised as civilians. In the buildings around the square, heavy weapons waited under tarps, marked as mining supplies, that the Vryn landing craft descended. They were impressive, designed to terrify with their size and the sound of their engines. The back ramps lowered and Vryn warriors emerged. Each one stood nearly 8 feet tall, covered in natural armor, with forearms ending in claws. They roared, a sound meant to paralyze prey with fear. Some of the civilians screamed. The Vryn leaders seemed pleased. The lead Vryn stomped forward, pointing at Yoon-ah with one massive claw. You, leader, You will kneel. Yoon looked up at the alien and smiled. No, I don't think I will. The Vryn roared in rage and raised its weapon. That's when Yuna pressed the trigger in her hand. The square erupted. The tarps flew off to reveal heavy machine guns. The civilians pulled out hidden weapons. Explosives planted under the landing craft detonated, flipping the ships onto their sides. In 3 seconds, the Vryn went from confident invaders to shocked victims. Soldier Hay-1 led her squad in the assault. They moved like professionals, using cover, coordinating fire, exploiting every weakness Ji-hoon's reconnaissance had identified. The Vryn were strong and tough, but they'd never fought an organized enemy before. They didn't know how to adapt. Target the joints in their armor. Hey, one shouted. Aim for the neck and knee joints. Her squad followed orders perfectly. The Vryn warriors fell, one by one, their natural armor useless against trained soldiers who knew exactly where to shoot Dot in orbit. Admiral Tae-sung watched the battle through satellites. They're taking the bait. All 6 ships are moving to support their ground troops. Good, said Tactical Officer Byung-ho. That puts them exactly where we want them. The human fleet had been waiting, hidden in the moon's shadow, completely powered down to avoid detection. 30 warships, invisible until Tae-sung gave the order. All ships, he broadcast. Decloak and engage. Let's show them what happens when they underestimate us. The Vryn fleet never saw it coming. One moment, they were alone in orbit, moving to help their ground forces. The next moment, they were surrounded by human warships that appeared from nothing. The first volley of missiles hit before the Vryn could even raise their shields. Captain Jae-min led the fighter wings. His squadron screamed past the Vryn cruisers, weaving through defensive fire, targeting weak points in their armor. Blue Squadron, target their engine pods. Red Squadron, go for the command bridges. Gold Squadron, you're with me on the flagship. The space battle was chaos, but it was controlled chaos. The humans had trained for this. They'd studied Vryn tactics for months. Every pilot knew exactly what to do. Communications Officer Dae-yoon monitored Vryn transmissions. What she heard made her smile. Admiral, they're panicking. I'm picking up confusion on their command channels. They don't know how to respond. They've never been ambushed before, Tae-sung said. They're always the hunters, never the hunted. Let's make sure they remember this lesson. The broken chain, humanity's first true warship, moved forward. Kyung-soo had designed it specifically to fight Vryn vessels. Its weapons weren't the biggest or the flashiest, but they were precise. Every shot counted. Target the flagship, Tae-sung ordered. I want to talk to their commander. The flagship's shields fell under concentrated fire. Tae-sung opened a channel. Vryn Commander. I am Admiral Tae-sung of Earth. You have one chance to withdraw peacefully. The Vryn Commander appeared on the screen. It was massive, covered in scars, with eyes full of rage. You dare? You are nothing. Soft flesh vermin. We will crush your... You'll do nothing, Tae-sung interrupted. Look around you. Your fleet is surrounded. Your ground troops are losing. You came here to terrorize helpless civilians. Instead, you found soldiers. This is your only warning. Leave now, or we'll destroy every ship you have. The Vryn commander roared and cut the transmission. All ships attack. Kill them all. Tae-sung sighed. They never learn. Tactical. Target the flagship. Fire all weapons. The broken chain unleashed everything it had. Missiles, railguns, energy weapons, all focused on one target. The Vryn flagship's shields collapsed. Its armor cracked. Explosions rippled across its hull. Sir, they're launching escape pods, Byung-ho reported. Let them go. I want survivors. I want them to tell their people what happened here. The flagship broke apart in a massive explosion. The remaining Vryn ships lost formation, confusion spreading through their ranks. Some tried to fight. Others attempted to flee. The human fleet pursued relentlessly, destroying weapon systems, but leaving engines intact. On the ground, the battle was ending. The Vryn warriors, seeing their ships destroyed above them, fought with desperate fury. But desperation wasn't strategy. HFY squad cornered the last group in a crater. Surrender, she called out. You've lost. Your ships are gone. Surrender, and you'll be treated fairly. The Vryn looked at each other. They'd never surrendered before. The concept was alien to them. But slowly, one by one, they lowered their weapons. HFY approached carefully. One of the Vryn warriors stared at her with what might have been confusion. You fought well. Like warriors. We're not warriors, HFY replied. We're soldiers. There's a difference. Warriors fight for glory. Soldiers fight to protect their home. The Vryn warrior's head tilted, trying to understand. It was the first time a Vryn had ever looked at a human as anything other than prey. Commander, Yoon surveyed the battlefield. The colony had taken damage, and they'd lost people. 37 dead, over 100 wounded. But they'd won. They'd proven that humans could fight and win. The civilians emerged from shelters, seeing the captured Vryn warriors being secured by soldiers. Children pointed and whispered. The monsters weren't so scary anymore. Commander, we have incoming, her deputy reported. More ships, but these ones aren't Vryn. The Helix vessels were small and battered, clearly old and barely functional. They'd been hiding in the asteroid field, watching the battle. Now they approached cautiously. A transmission came through. The voice was soft, uncertain. Human vessels. We are Helix. We ... We saw what you did. You defeated the Vryn? Yoon responded. Yes, we did. And we did it to show them, and to show you, that they can be beaten. We have been slaves for so long. We thought no one could stand against them. You were wrong. Join us. Fight with us. We can free your people. There was a long pause. Then, how? How can we fight? We have no weapons, no soldiers, no hope. You have us now, Yuna said. And hope is something we can give you. The Vryn took it away. We're giving it back. Admiral Taesung accepted the surrender of the Vryn fleet commander, who had survived the flagship's destruction. The alien was brought aboard the broken chain in restraints, still defiant despite its defeat. You have won one battle, the Vryn hissed. The collective will send 1,000 ships. You cannot win. Maybe not, Taesung admitted, but we'll make you pay for every inch. Every human you kill will cost you 10 of your own. Every colony you attack will fight back. You wanted a war? You've got one, but it won't be the easy conquest you expected. The Vryn commander actually laughed. You think you are the first to resist? You think you are special? 17 civilizations fought us. All are dust. We're different from those 17 civilizations, Taesung said quietly. We studied them. We learned from their mistakes. And we're not fighting alone anymore. He gestured to the viewport. The Helix ships were joining formation with the human fleet. Small, weak ships, but they were there. The species you've enslaved, they're watching this battle. They're seeing that you can bleed. You can lose. And once that idea spreads, your empire starts to crumble. For the first time, the Vryn commander looked uncertain. You would ally with such weak creatures? Those weak creatures are people? And yes, we'll ally with them. We'll protect them. We'll teach them to fight. And together, will show the galaxy that bullies eventually meet someone who won't back down. The Vryn commander was taken away to a detention cell. Tae-sung stood alone on the bridge, looking at the stars. The battle was won, but the war was just beginning. Captain Jae-min landed his fighter in the Broken Chains hangar. His squadron had lost 3 pilots, good men and women who died protecting others. He stood by their empty flight suits, saluting one last time. Dayun approached him quietly. "Captain, we're getting transmissions from all over. News of the battle is spreading. The Helix are calling us saviors. The Vryn are calling us demons. What are we really?" Jae-min asked. "We're humans," she replied. "We're people who were pushed too far and pushed back." Back on Earth, President Subin received Admiral Tae-sung's report. The council gathered to hear the news. When she announced the victory, the room erupted in cheers. But Haijin, the director of diplomatic corps, stood up. "This is wonderful, truly. But we've also crossed a line. We're at war now. There's no going back." "There was never any going back," Subin replied. "Not from the moment they sent Jinwoo back to us in pieces. The only question was whether we'd fight or die. We chose to fight." Jinwoo himself stood before the council, his cybernetic body a reminder of what they were fighting against. "The Vryn thought they could break our spirit by breaking me. They were wrong. Every civilization that fell to them, they fell because they fought alone and unprepared. We're neither. We're ready, we're united, and we're angry. Let the Vryn send their 1,000 ships," General Dong Hyeon added. "We'll be waiting. And this time, we won't be the ones returning in shreds." The victory at Tizen spread like fire through the galaxy. Enslaved species whispered about it in secret. Oppressed people dared to hope. And the Vryn Collective, for the first time in their long history, felt something they'd never experienced before. Doubt. The Galactic Assembly was a massive station floating in neutral space, where various alien species met to observe, trade, and occasionally argue. It wasn't a government, more like a meeting place for civilizations that wanted to stay out of each other's way. They had one rule: don't bring your wars here. Ambassador Jinwoo walked through its halls with President Subin appearing beside him as a hologram. Eyes followed them, literally in some cases, as species with unusual biology turned to watch the humans pass. Some looked curious. Others looked afraid. The assembly chamber was huge, with seats for over 40 different species. Most were small civilizations trying to survive in a galaxy where bigger powers fought for control. The Vryn had never bothered attending. They didn't negotiate. They conquered. Jin-Woo took his place at the speaker's platform. His mechanical legs didn't shake anymore. His rebuilt body didn't know fear the way his original one had. He looked at the gathered aliens and began. "Representatives of the Galactic Assembly, I am Jinwoo of Earth. 6 months ago, I came to the Vryn Collective offering peace. They returned me to my people as a message. This is what they did to me." He triggered the holographic display. Images of his torture appeared, detailed medical scans showing the extent of his injuries. Several species in the audience made sounds of disgust or horror. They wanted to break humanity's spirit. They wanted us to beg, to surrender, to become another species added to their list of slaves. Instead, we fought back. 3 days ago, humanity defeated a Vryn fleet at Tizen Colony. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several representatives leaned forward in disbelief. "I'm not here to boast about our victory," Jinwoo continued. "I'm here to offer something the Vryn never would. Alliance. Any species suffering under Vryn occupation, any civilization living in fear of their expansion, we invite you to join us. Together, we can do what none of us could do alone. We can stop them." A Helix representative stood up. His name was Tae Yang, and he'd been raised on a human colony after his parents fled Vrin occupation. He spoke with the authority of someone who'd seen both sides. "I witnessed the battle at Tizen," Taeyang said. "I saw humans fight not for conquest, but for protection. I saw them capture Vrin warriors and treat them with dignity, even after those warriors showed them none. Humanity could have killed every Vrin on that moon. They chose mercy instead. Mercy for now," a reptilian species representative hissed. "How do we know you won't become like the Vrin? How do we know you won't build an empire of your own?" President Su Bin's hologram stepped forward. "Because that's not who we are. Let me be clear about humanity's position. We will defend ourselves. We will protect those who ask for our help. But we will not conquer. We will not build an empire. Any species that joins our coalition remains free and independent." "Pretty words," another alien said. "The Vrin also had pretty words once, long ago." Military attach Sang Woo stood up beside Jin Woo. He was a soldier diplomat, someone who understood both war and peace. "Then judge us by our actions. We're sharing our military technology with the Helix. We're training their soldiers not to serve us, but to defend themselves. We're helping them rebuild their own military, their own government, their own future. Why?" The reptilian representative demanded. "What do you gain?" "Allies," Sang-Woo replied simply. "Friends, partners. The Vrin rule through fear and domination. We're building something different. A coalition of equals." While Jin Woo spoke at the assembly, General Dong Haiyan was far from Earth, leading 3 human battle groups into Vrin space. Their mission was bold and dangerous. Liberate 3 slave worlds in a single, coordinated strike. Marine Commander Hyojin led the ground assault on the first world, a planet the Vrin called Desolation. The slaves there were a species called the Kirish, insect-like beings who'd been working Vrin mines for generations. They'd forgotten what freedom looked like. "Remember," Hyojin told her Marines as the dropships descended, "these people are victims, not enemies. The Vrin overseers are the targets. Everyone else, we're here to help." The Vrin compound was built like a fortress. Tall walls, heavy weapons designed to keep the slaves in and any rescue out. But the Vrin had never faced a military force that actually cared about the people they were rescuing. Hyojin's Marines didn't just attack. They carefully targeted Vrin positions while avoiding slave quarters. They used non-lethal weapons when Kirish workers got caught in the crossfire. They broadcast messages in the Kirish language, explaining who they were and why they'd come. The Vrin overseers fought viciously, but they were few compared to the human forces. Within 6 hours, the compound fell. The hardest part came next. The Kirish slaves emerged from their quarters slowly, eyes wide with confusion and fear. They'd been slaves for so long that freedom was a foreign concept. A young Kirish female approached Hyojin carefully. You killed the overseers?" "Yes," Hyojin replied gently. Then you are the new masters?" "No, we're not your masters. We're your liberators. You're free now." The Kirish looked around at the other slaves, then back at Hyojin. "Free to do what?" "Whatever you want. Build your own government. Return to your homeworld. Join our coalition. The choice is yours." It was a concept they struggled to understand. Hyojin knew it would take time. Freedom was easy to take away, but hard to give back. On Earth, Dr. Young Suk worked with freed Helix scientists in a joint research facility. The Helix scientist Insu was brilliant but cautious, still learning to trust humans. "This is remarkable," Insu said, examining the countermeasures Young Suk had developed against Vrin biological weapons. "You figured this out in months. It took us years just to understand how their weapons worked." "We had motivation," Young Suk replied. And we had something the Vryn don't expect: cooperation. Your people understand Vryn biology better than we do. Our people have different approaches to problem solving. Together, we're stronger than either of us alone. The Vryn think cooperation is weakness, Insu said quietly. They think only the strongest individual matters. Then they're wrong, and we're going to prove it. In the shipyards orbiting Earth's moon, engineer Kyung-soo and master shipwright Ji-young stood before their greatest creation. The broken chain had been impressive, but this was something else entirely. The new dreadnought was massive, bristling with weapons designed by humans, Helix, and freed Kirish engineers working together. Its shields used technology from 3 different species. Its hull was layered with armor no single civilization could have developed alone. What should we call it? Ji-young asked. The Coalition, Kyung-soo replied. Because that's what it represents. All of us together. Back at the Galactic Assembly, the debate continued. Some species wanted to join humanity's coalition immediately. Others were cautious. A few were openly hostile, calling humans warmongers and fools. Then a new hologram appeared in the chamber. It was a Vryn, but not a warrior. This one wore the symbols of a scientist or scholar. I am Min-ji of the Vryn Collective, the figure said. I speak without official authorization, which will likely cost me my life. But someone must tell the truth. The chamber went silent. My people are wrong, Min-ji continued. For thousands of years, we've built our civilization on domination and cruelty. We believed it made us strong. But strength without wisdom is just brutality. The humans defeated us not because they're crueler, but because they're smarter. They work together. They adapt. They care about each other. I've studied the battle at Tizen, Min-ji said. I've analyzed every tactical decision. The humans could have annihilated our forces. They chose to offer surrender instead. This is not weakness. This is something we never learned: restraint. Why are you telling us this? Jin Woo asked. Because there are others like me among the Vryn. Scientists, philosophers, people who see that our way is leading to our extinction. The humans have shown us there's another path. But the warrior caste controls our government, and they will never stop fighting. They would rather die than admit they're wrong. Then help us, Jinwoo said. Help us end this war without destroying your entire species. I will try. But understand, Ambassador, most of my people will fight to the last. They know nothing else. The transmission ended. The assembly chamber erupted in discussion. Some species saw it as proof that the Vryn could change. Others thought it was a trap. President Subin addressed them all. We didn't start this war. The Vryn did when they sent our ambassador back, broken and tortured. But we can choose how it ends. We can become monsters to destroy monsters. Or we can remain who we are and prove that civilization can triumph over barbarism. I propose a formal coalition, she continued. Any species that joins us will be protected by our combined military forces. In return, we share technology, resources, and knowledge. No member nation rules over another. Decisions are made together. And what of the Vryn? Someone asked. The Vryn will be given one choice: stop their expansion and accept reform, or face the full might of the coalition. We won't seek their extermination, but we will not tolerate their empire of cruelty. The vote took hours. When it was done, 17 species had joined humanity's coalition. It wasn't all of them, but it was a start. General Dong Hyan returned from his liberation campaign with news. All 3 slave worlds are free. The Kirish, the Helix, and the Vesh have all asked to join our coalition. They're offering their resources, their labor, their warriors. Tell them we accept their friendship, Subin replied. But make it clear, we need allies, not servants. I did. They understand. Or they're starting to. That night, Jin Woo stood on the observation deck of the space station, looking at Earth below. Tae Yang joined him, the Helix diplomat who'd spoken in support of humanity. Do you think we can win? Tae Yang asked. I don't know, Jin Woo admitted. The Vrin are powerful, and they're not going to give up easily. But I know this. We have something they don't. We have hope. We have friends. We have a reason to fight beyond just domination. The Vrin think that makes us weak. Let them think that. It's the last mistake they'll ever make. Across the galaxy, in the Vrin home territories, warrior caste leader Su Hyan raged before the collective's council. The humans must be crushed. They've made us look weak. But logistician Min Ji, the scientist who broadcast to the assembly, presented calculations. We cannot win this war. Not anymore. The humans fight differently than anyone we've faced. They adapt, they cooperate, they turn our strength into weakness. And now they have allies. Then we fight harder. Su Hyan roared. We'll only die faster, Mingji replied coldly. The mathematics are clear. Either we change, or we face extinction. The council was divided. The warriors wanted blood. The scientists wanted survival. And in the background, the whispers grew louder. Maybe the humans were right. Maybe there was another way. The pieces were in place. The coalition was forming. The Vrin Empire was cracking from within and pressured from without. The final confrontation was coming, and the galaxy waited to see if civilization could triumph over tyranny. If mercy could be stronger than cruelty, if humanity's gamble would pay off or doom them all. 1 year had passed since Ambassador Jin Woo returned to Earth in pieces. Now he stood on the bridge of the broken chain, watching the largest fleet ever assembled by the coalition drift into formation. Human ships, Helix cruisers, Kirish carriers, Vesh destroyers, and vessels from a dozen other species that had finally found the courage to resist. Admiral Taesung stood beside him, studying the tactical displays. Ahead of them, at the border of Vrin home territory, waited the enemy's final armada. Every ship the Vrin collective could spare, pulled from 100 conquered worlds to defend their homeland. They brought everything. Tactical Officer Byung-ho reported. 300 Vrin warships, maybe more hiding in the asteroid fields. And we have 400 ships from 17 species, Taesung replied. For the first time, they're outnumbered. Numbers aren't everything, Jin Woo said quietly. They're still dangerous. Desperate and dangerous. Captain Ji-hoon entered the bridge, his special operations team suited up and ready. Admiral, my boarding teams are prepared. Just give the word. Soon, Taesung promised. Let's see if they'll listen to reason first. He opened a broadcast to the Vrin fleet. Vrin Collective, this is Admiral Taesung of the Coalition. You are surrounded and outnumbered. We're giving you one chance to withdraw peacefully. You can end this war today without more bloodshed. The Vrin commander's face appeared on screen. It was Su Hyan, the warrior caste leader who'd been calling for total war. His face was covered in ritual scars, his eyes burning with hatred. Humans, Su Hyan snarled. You think your alliance of weak species frightens us? We are Vrin. We have crushed civilizations for 10,000 years. We will never surrender to vermin. Then you'll die, Taesung said simply, and cut the transmission. The battle began. The Vrin charged forward in their traditional formation, expecting their size and ferocity to scatter the coalition forces. But the coalition didn't scatter. They held formation, each species supporting the others, covering weaknesses, combining strengths. Pilot Yoon-ji led her strike carrier into the thick of battle. Her fighter wings launched in perfect coordination with Helix bombers and Kirish interceptors. Different species, different ships, but they flew like one unified force. Blue Squadron, protect the Helix bombers, she commanded. Red Squadron, clear a path for the Kirish. Gold Squadron, you're with me on the flagship. Her pilots responded instantly. They'd trained together for months, learning each other's tactics, trusting each other's skills. The Vryn had numbers, but the Coalition had coordination. Communications Officer Dae-Yoon monitored enemy transmissions. Admiral, their command structure is fragmenting. Different Vryn commanders are giving conflicting orders. They're not used to fighting as a unified fleet, because they never had to before, Byung-ho noted. Everyone they fought either surrendered or died quickly. They never developed real fleet tactics. The Coalition, the massive dreadnought built by 17 species working together, pushed forward. Its shields held against Vryn fire. Its weapons, designed by the brightest minds of multiple civilizations, tore through Vryn armor like it was paper. But the cost was terrible. A Helix cruiser exploded, taking 300 lives with it. A human destroyer was crippled, its crew evacuating in escape pods. A Kirish carrier lost power and drifted helplessly until a Vesh rescue ship pulled it to safety. On the bridge of a human battleship, Commander Yuna coordinated her ship's fire with 2 Helix vessels. Her ship took a direct hit, alarms screaming. Hull breach on Deck 7. Her deputy shouted, "We're losing atmosphere. Seal it off. Redirect power to weapons. We're not backing down." A Vryn cruiser moved to finish her ship, but a Helix destroyer threw itself in the way, taking the hit meant for the humans. The Helix ship's captain appeared on Yuna's screen. "We remember Tizen, Commander. You fought for us. Now we fight for you." Yuna felt tears in her eyes. "Thank you. Your sacrifice won't be forgotten." "No sacrifice, Commander. We lived to see our freedom." But the Helix ship didn't survive. It bought Yuna's crew time to repair and rejoin the fight, but it cost the Helix captain and his entire crew their lives. Captain Ji-hoon's boarding teams hit the Vryn command ships. They'd learned from months of study that cutting off Vryn leadership caused their forces to lose coordination. It was risky, dangerous work, but it was working. His team fought through corridors filled with Vryn warriors. Soldier Hae-1, now a lieutenant, led her squad with brutal efficiency. They'd learned to fight Vryn hand-to-hand, using their smaller size and speed against the alien strength. "Target the command deck," Ji-hoon ordered. "Once we take it, the ship is ours." They burst onto the bridge to find Vryn officers desperately trying to coordinate their failing defense. The fight was quick and vicious. When it ended, Ji-hoon stood over the Vryn captain. "Your ship is captured. Order your crew to stand down." The Vryn captain stared at him in disbelief. You boarded our command ship?" "No one has ever." "Things change," Ji-hoon said. "Order your crew to surrender, and they'll be treated fairly. Refuse, and we'll take the ship anyway, but more people will die." The Vryn captain looked at his crew, dead or wounded around him. He'd never surrendered in his life. His biology screamed at him to fight to the death. But something in the human's eyes made him pause. Not cruelty or hatred, just determination and a strange kind of mercy. I order my crew to stand down," the captain said, each word clearly painful. The battle raged for 6 hours. Ships on both sides died. Good people from multiple species sacrificed themselves for the Coalition's cause. The space between the fleets became a graveyard of burning metal and frozen bodies. But slowly, inevitably, the Vryn fleet began to break. General Dong-hyan led the ground assault on the Vryn's command station, a massive orbital fortress that coordinated their fleet. Marine Commander Hyojin's forces landed on its hull and cut their way inside. The fighting inside was brutal. The Vryn defended every corridor, every room. But Hyojin's Marines fought with the desperation of people, protecting not just their own civilization, but all the species the Vryn had oppressed, and they weren't fighting alone. Helix soldiers fought beside them, and Kirish warriors, and Vesh commandos. Species that had been enemies or strangers months ago now bled together for a common cause. They reached the command center to find General Dong Hyan already there, facing down a group of Vryn officers. The old general had fought his way through the fortress almost single-handedly, and he looked every bit as dangerous as the aliens he faced. "It's over," Dong Hyan told them. "Your fleet is defeated. Your command structure is broken. Surrender, and your people live. Fight, and the coalition fleet will reduce your homeworld to ash." The ranking Vryn officer was an old warrior, covered in scars from 1,000 battles. "If we surrender, what happens to us?" "You'll be held accountable for your crimes," Dong Hyan replied. "The species you enslaved will have justice. But you'll have trials, not executions. You'll have the chance to prove that your species can change." "And if we can't change?" Dong Hyan's expression was hard. "Then you'll spend the rest of your lives in isolation, and your species will be monitored for generations. But you'll live. Your children will have a chance to be better than you were." It was Su Hyan's flagship that made the final stand. The warrior caste leader refused to surrender, refused to accept that the Vryn could lose. He fought until his ship was crippled, until his weapons were destroyed, until he stood alone on his ruined bridge. Admiral Taesung gave him one last chance. "Su Hyan, it's over. Order your remaining ships to stand down." "Never." Su Hyan roared. "I would rather die then." The transmission cut off as a secondary explosion tore through his ship. Taesung watched it break apart, feeling no satisfaction in the victory. Just weariness and relief that it was finally ending. Across the battlefield, Vryn ships began to lower their weapons. Some captains surrendered. Others simply stopped fighting, too exhausted or too shocked to continue. The battle was over, but the hardest part was just beginning. President Su Bin broadcast to the Vryn homeworld from the captured command station. Billions of Vryn watched as a human stood where their leaders had once ruled. "People of the Vryn Collective," she said, "your fleet is defeated. Your territory is occupied. But we're not here to exterminate you. We're here to give you a choice." She gestured, and Dr. Youngsuk appeared beside her, along with scientist Bo Oram and the Vryn scientist Mingji, who'd been working secretly with humans for months. "Your biology makes you unable to see other species as equals unless they defeat you in combat," Su Bin continued. "We understand this isn't entirely your fault. You were born this way. But we've developed a treatment, a genetic modification that will change this. It won't make you weak. It won't change who you are fundamentally. It will just allow you to recognize other beings as worthy of respect without needing violence." Young Suk stepped forward. "The treatment is voluntary, but those who refuse will be exiled to designated worlds, separated from the galactic community. Those who accept will be allowed to join the coalition as equals, with the same rights and responsibilities as every other member species." Min Ji spoke last. "I've taken the treatment myself. I'm still Vryn. I'm still proud of my species' strength and history. But now I can also see the beauty in cooperation, the strength in diversity. I can look at a human or Helix or Kirish and see a person, not prey. This is not weakness. This is evolution." The Vryn homeworld descended into chaos. The warrior caste, what was left of it, rejected the treatment and prepared for a final stand. But they were few now. Most Vryn, especially the younger generations, the scientists, the workers, they were tired of war. They were tired of being feared and hated across the galaxy. The Vryn civil war was brief but bloody. Suhayon was dead, but his followers fought with desperate fury against their own people. Minji led the Vrin who accepted change, and the coalition supported them. Captain J. Min's fighters defended Vrin cities from warriors, who would rather burn everything than accept defeat. Yunji's squadrons flew alongside reformed Vrin pilots, protecting civilians from extremists. It ended when the last warrior stronghold fell. The holdouts were given a choice: accept exile or accept treatment. Most chose exile. Some chose death. A very few chose change. 5 years later, Ambassador Jinwoo walked through the halls of the Galactic Assembly. It was much larger now, with seats for 47 member species. The coalition had grown beyond anyone's expectations. He stopped to talk with a young Vrin diplomat. The alien still looked formidable, but there was something different in its eyes. Curiosity instead of contempt, respect instead of disdain. Ambassador Jinwoo, the Vrin said, I wanted to thank you. My people, we were on a path to extinction. We would have fought until the galaxy destroyed us. You gave us another way. You gave yourselves another way, Jinwoo replied. We just showed you it was possible. On Earth, a memorial wall listed names. 17,000 humans who died in the war. Commander Yuna's name was there. General Donghayan's name was there, engraved in stone forever. They died in the final battle, sacrificing themselves so others could live. President Subin, older now and stepping down from office, visited the memorial with a young cadet. The girl was Yuna's daughter, preparing to join the Coalition Defense Force. Your mother was a hero, Subin told her. She proved that humans could stand against any threat. But more importantly, she proved we could win without losing ourselves. I want to be like her, the girl said. Then be brave. Be strong, but also be kind. Your mother fought to protect people, not to conquer them. That's what makes us different from the Vrin of old. We fight for the right reasons. The broken chain, now commanded by Admiral Ji-hoon, patrolled the borders of Coalition space. It wasn't the largest ship anymore. The combined engineering of multiple species had produced more advanced vessels. But it remained a symbol of where the Coalition began. On the bridge, Ji-hoon looked at his crew. Humans, Helix, Kirish, Vesh, even 2 reformed Vrin, serving as tactical officers. Different species, different backgrounds, but one purpose. Sir, we're getting a distress call, Dayun reported. A small colony on the edge of Coalition space, under attack by raiders. Set course, Ji-hoon ordered. Maximum speed. We protect all Coalition members, no matter how small. As the ship jumped to faster than light, he thought about how far they'd come. How humanity had sought peace and been answered with cruelty. How they'd responded with strength, but tempered it with mercy. On a rehabilitation station orbiting a distant moon, Jinwoo visited the Vrin Learning Center. Former warriors studied alongside other species, learning to interact as equals. It was awkward and difficult. Thousands of years of instinct didn't change overnight. He found a Vrin teacher he recognized. It was the officer who'd commanded the ship Ji-hoon had captured, the one who'd been the first to surrender in combat. Ambassador, the former captain said, I never properly thanked you. For what? Defeating you? For showing mercy after? For giving my people a chance to change? I was taught that surrender meant death. Instead, it meant life. A different life, but life. Jinwoo looked at the students, Vrin children learning to see other species as friends instead of prey. How long before they're ready? Generations, maybe. But they will be ready. My people have strength and determination. We just needed to point it in the right direction. Jinwoo left the station and looked out at the stars. The galaxy was vast, and there were still threats out there. Still species that would test the Coalition's resolve. But they were ready. Humanity had sought peace and been answered with violence. They'd responded with strength and offered mercy. They'd built alliances from shared suffering and created something greater than any single species could achieve alone. Evrin had called them soft-flesh vermin. Now the galaxy called them something else: hope. Proof that civilization could triumph over barbarism. That cooperation was stronger than domination. That peace could be earned through strength and maintained through wisdom. Chin Wu thought about his journey. From idealistic diplomat to broken victim to architect of a new galactic order. His body was more machine than flesh now, but his spirit was stronger than it had ever been. Peace was never free. It cost 17,000 human lives and countless more from allied species. It cost years of war and sacrifice. But it was earned, and it was real, and it was worth every price paid. The coalition would endure. The galaxy would remember. And when new threats arose, as they inevitably would, the member species would face them together. Because that was the human way, and it had become the coalition way. Humanity sought peace. They were answered with cruelty. They responded with justice. And in the end, they proved that mercy was not weakness, that compassion was not surrender, and that the strongest civilizations were those built on mutual respect rather than fear. The war was over. The real work of peace had just begun, and humanity, along with their allies, was ready for it.